Hello, Jaguars. So, taking a look at our first lesson in our unit. Well, this is lesson 15, but we're looking at the first lesson in our unit that talks about division. We're going to be using arrays to help us understand how division works. And we're going to be looking to find our quotient, which is going to be our answer to a division problem, finding out how many remainders there are, and then also looking at how to check our work. Now, when we start to take a look at a division problem, we're going to look at the different parts of a division problem to help us understand what we're looking at first. Our dividend here is basically like our starting number. How many do we have in a total group? Okay, and then we're looking to divide it by our divisor into sets of this much. So as we look here, we have 13 total. We need to start making groups of 3 from 13. And I'll show you what that looks like when we start to make an array. Now, when we start to complete our problem, we're going to be trying to find what's labeled as our quotient, which is our whole number of groups here. And also, we're going to be seeing that there's a number that shows the remainders. Okay. Now, we're going to take a look at trying to solve 13 divided by 3 first as our example to show division. So we're going to start, we know that there's a total of 13 in a whole group. Okay, in a community there's 13, and so we cannot go more than 13. And we need to make groups of 3. So what we can do is we can make groups of 3 and keep counting until we get to 13. So what that'll look like for an array is that I'm going to be building groups of 3. So there's 1, 2, 3. So that's my first group, and I'm going to move down so I know that every line is one group. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Once I hit that dividend number, I'm going to stop. Now, since I was making my lines already in groups of 3, I need to figure out how many groups of 3 did I make. So if I start counting, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 3. So that's my quotient. There are 4 total groups of 3. And then the remainder, it's going to be how many is not in a group, which is this one right here. It's not in a group of 3. It's not in a group based on a divisor. So we know that there's a remainder of 1. Okay? Mainly because that remainder is not within a group. Okay? Now, we just solved our problem, okay? We know that 13 divided by 3 will have a quotient of 4 and a remainder of 1. But we also want to do another thing to check and see if our answer is correct. Okay, so this is where we're going to start to look at checking our work. Okay, so to check our work, I'm going to put here on the right side, check your work. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take some of the values that we know. So we're first going to take our quotient. So quotient, and we're going to multiply it times our divisor. So times divisor. And then we're going to get a mystery product here based on multiplying them together. So I'm just going to write down product. And once we have that product, okay, we want to add our remainder. So plus your remainder. And when we do all of that, our answer should be the same thing as our dividend here, our starting number. Okay. And you might be looking at this like, that's a lot of words to remember, but just make sure that when we key into the words, we look at what part of our division equation we're looking at for each of these values. So our quotient would be 4 times our divisor, which is 3. We're going to get a product, which we don't see here because we don't know that product yet. And then when we add our remainder, which is right here on all the way on the right, we should end up with our dividend. Okay, so let's check out our work here. We have 13 divided by 3 equals 4 with a remainder of 1. And so I'm going to use the values here to check my work. So I have my quotient, which is 4. Okay, I'm going to multiply it times our divisor, which is 3. And I know when I count by 3's 4 times, I'll get 12, because 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, so my answer here is going to be 12. But I still need to add my remainder, which is a remainder of 1. So 12 plus 1, and I should get 13. The fact that my dividend here is 13, or my starting number was 13, and I end with 13 here after checking my work, that shows that my answer here is correct. You're using multiplication to prove that your division answer is correct. Okay? That's the purpose of our activity for today. Okay? So, we have to make sure that we check our work whenever we do a division problem, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave one practice problem for you to try out, okay? And then this is where you can pause the video and try to solve it on your own and check your work. And then once you've done all that, you can press play to see if your answer is correct, okay? So what we're going to look at this division equation. We're going to look at 24 divided by 5. And let's see what our answer will be, okay? So this is the time to pause your video. Try to solve this on your own using the example that I gave you. And then try to check your work. If you forgot already the process, you can always rewind this video and look at how we solved the first problem. And then apply what you learned on this first problem to the second one, okay? All right, I'll see you when you finish the problem. All right, so welcome back. We're going to take a look at 24 divided by 5. We're going to draw out our array to see how many groups of 5 we can make from 24 and see if there's going to be any remainders, okay? So count with me and then make sure you're saying the word down when I need to move down a line, knowing that we made a group of 5, okay? So let's try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, moving down. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, moving down. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, moving down. 21, 22, 23, 24. Remember, I'm only going until I reach this number, our dividend, okay? So let's check to see how many groups of 5 we made. So I made 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 5. So my answer is going to be 4. And then with my remainder, I'm going to see how many are left over that are not in a group of 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that means I'm going to have a remainder of 4. Okay. So we solved our division problem, but remember, your job was to also check your work. So we're going to take our quotient times our divisor. So we're going to take our quotient, which is 4, times our divisor, which is 3. Which is 5. Sorry, I was looking at this one. So 4 times 5. That will get me 5, 10, 15, 20. And then I want to add the 4 from our remainders. And then that gets me 24. And then I compare. Did I start with 24 and end with 24? Yes. So that means I know that my answer is correct. Okay? Now what's going to happen is that you're going to be given you're going to be assigned your worksheet. It's going to be on your workbook, pages 75 and 76. Or if it's a printed copy, it might be different problems or different page numbers. You're going to be working on pages 75 and 76, which will look like this. Okay. And when we start that, we're going to try to look at solving using an array. We're not going to do an area model, but you can use the grid to help you draw your model, okay? So in this case, 18 divided by 6 Okay, we needed groups of 6, so I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That formed one square, and there's no extras, so I made 1, 2, 3 groups of 6, which is my quotient, and there's no remainder. Okay, to check that work, we're gonna go with 6 times 3, which is 18, plus 0, because there's 0 remainder, and I still get 18, which is what I started out with. Okay, so that's all you need to do for for your first page on, well, this is page 75 at the start of lesson 15. And then when we look at the next page, you're gonna see that it's asking you to solve with an array and an area model. You're only gonna worry about using the array. You're gonna use the spot here for an area model to just check your work. Remember, to check your work, you're gonna take your quotient or your answer times your divisor, and then you're gonna take that product and add your remainder to it, and you should end up with your dividend, okay? If you don't remember what these terms are, please make sure you go back and check on your notes. It's also gonna be right over here. Feel free to rewind the video to help yourself with getting the lesson again, or if you need to find a specific spot for your notes, feel free to do that, okay? If you have any questions, please make sure you just kind of leave it in the comment box, or make sure you wait till you see me in school, and I can definitely help you out with that. But please make sure that you have these notes written down and I see some progress in your workbook, okay? Thanks, Jaguars, and I'll see you soon.